Good evening and welcome to Metro Focus. I'm Rafael P. Roman. The two most powerful Democrats in New Jersey just can't seem to get along. Governor Phil Murphy and Senate President Steve Sweeney have been at odds since Murphy took office last year, and their back and forth has been both nasty and personal. The two men do appear to genuinely dislike each other, and according to critics, their clash has tied up tens of millions of dollars in state money and stopped the progress of several key initiatives. Joining us now to break it all down for us is Metro Focus contributor and State of Affairs anchor, Steve Adubato. Steve, welcome back to the program.
It's good to be here, Raf.
So, Steve, this situation is not unprecedented in New Jersey. In fact, Steve Sweeney didn't get along all that well with the last Democratic governor, Jon Corzine.
Last governor, yes.
Yeah, the Republican, yes.
They had a bond.
But the last Democratic governor, Jon Corzine,
That's
no.
right.
So what's the genesis of this particular feud?
They don't like each other.
Okay, we got
That's the beginning.
Yeah.
They don't like each other. They're philosophically, Raf. You've got Phil Murphy, the governor, who is with the very progressive, more liberal wing of the Democratic Party. You've got Steve Sweeney, who is a moderate-leaning conservative. The bottom line is there's an ideological difference between the two of them. There's a personal difference. But there's another thing here. Steve Sweeney wanted to be governor.
Right.
And let's not kid ourselves. I don't want to get inside in New Jersey baseball in terms of politics. But a couple of years ago, when Phil Murphy wasn't even in the picture, Steve Sweeney was the leading candidate to run for governor of the Democratic Party. Phil Murphy comes in and says, listen, I have the money. I have the means. I'm going to do this. And all of a sudden, Steve Sweeney backs away. He stays as the Senate president. Look, there's some of that. There's jealousy. There's envy. There's personal stuff. They've also disagreed on a range of important policy issues. They see the world very differently, even though there's a D after both of their names. That doesn't mean that they're liking each other on any
let's
level.
talk about the issues. But before, what about sectional difference? Because Sweeney comes from the South, Murphy comes from the North. I mean, and there's kind of different places.
You know, people sometimes think New Jersey, we're a very provincial state in some ways. But man, while we're blue, we're not blue across the board, Raf. Yes, in the north, the central part of the state leans more Democratic. You go to the South, you've got Democrats who are those old blue dog Democrats in the South they used to talk about. Sweeney and a lot of those Democrats, they're not Democrats in the way those in Newark or Jersey City are. They lean toward the middle, to the right a little bit. So those Democrats are not Democrats like others. And Phil Murphy doesn't really relate to them in the same way because they're just in a different place ideologically.
So what are some of the issues that they fought over the last year and a half, and what are the issues they're fighting over now?
One, for a while, medical marijuana, even though they both say, not medical, excuse me, legalizing of marijuana. While they both say they're on the same place on this issue, it hasn't gone anywhere. What's up with that? Yes, it's tough to get the votes in the Senate for it, but if the Senate president, Raf, and the governor were both truly for legalizing marijuana, it would happen. They're not both enthusiastic in the same way. But the biggest is the millionaire's tax. So Phil Murphy says, look, we need to have tax fairness in New Jersey. We need to raise taxes on millionaires. And Steve Sweeney one time had that position, but I recently interviewed him. He said, look, I used to think that until Donald Trump and the Republicans changed the law where you can only write off 10 grand of your state income tax and your property taxes in New Jersey. He goes, so I can't support a millionaire's tax. Governor Murphy, I believe, again, is going to call for it. That'll be the third time Sweeney's going to fight him. They fight on taxes, they fight on that, and they fight over the public employee unions. And
Sweeney was recently on your show to talk about what?
Okay, so we had Steve Sweeney talking about a lot of things, but the clip we're about to show goes to this. There's about $350 million of state money that was in the budget that is for cancer treatment, for higher education, for a whole range of things. That money's held up because Governor Murphy says, I'm not going to fund it, even though Steve Sweeney says he's in favor of it, but he's doing this for personal reasons. This clip we're about to see is Steve Sweeney, the Senate president, saying why he believes it's personal and unacceptable for the governor not to support those initiatives.
This gets personal for me. I lost my mother and my brother to cancer. Why would you deny people in southern New Jersey dollars to deal with cancer treatment? It's offensive and it's unfair. You know, I went after Chris Christie when he cut a budget one time and called him a whole bunch of bad names. I don't know what to say when Phil Murphy says, well, I support these things. Well, then fund them.
You mentioned Chris Christie. Chris Christie has gotten into this battle. What's he saying?
You know, I thought Chris Christie was off running a new institute on civility and politics. You and I can attest to that, having done many interviews with him. It wasn't always so civil, let's just say.
That's true.
However, Chris Christie likes Steve Sweeney. They like each other, and they really like giving Phil Murphy a hard time. And so now Chris Christie, right after the inaugural event at his Civility Institute, if you will, at Seton Hall University Law School, he was with Governor Cuomo to do that. Right afterwards, he had a press conference. Who do you think he trashed for a half an hour? Phil Murphy. He said something like this. He said, he's an actor and he likes to dance. I don't know what he said. He's in theater, but he thinks this is theater, this is real life, and he trashed him.
And that's reference because in Harvard he was an actor. He wanted to be an actor, right?
Not Christie, Murphy.
No, Murphy.
I'm joking with you.
Right.
But here's what's going on. I think Sweeney and Governor Christie, former Governor Christie, and the head of, let's say, the titular head of the Democratic Party in a lot of ways, George Norcross, who's not an elected official, they're together, and truthfully, they want to make Phil Murphy's life miserable. And I believe ultimately they're heading for a Democratic civil war in a couple of years over that governorship.
It's going to be a primary. Do you think Sweeney's going to enter a primary against Murphy?
You and I talked about this a few months back, and I wasn't so sure. I'm convinced now that Steve Sweeney, who's talking about the Governor Murphy's not funding New Jersey Transit enough, he doesn't have the right position on taxes, he wants to raise taxes, he's not tough enough on the public employee unions, they have to give back more on pension or health care benefits. I think inevitably, while things are shut down in Trenton, it's going to be a battle between Sweeney and Murphy for the Democratic nomination for governor. I'm convinced of that now.
So you don't see a détente anytime soon, to say the least?
We're talking about Washington and what's going on there, how bad that is.
Yeah.
And people think that's a part of, it is. It's Democrats, Republicans. Here, these Democrats, they're not really in the same party. They may, again, have a D after their name. They don't believe in a lot of the same things. And again, I'm repeating myself, they don't like each other. And I think they'd rather fight, in my opinion, than find a way to compromise and work together on behalf of the people in the state. They're just in fight mode.
And this feud, how is it costing the state of New Jersey?
I mean, Ralph, think about this. You have a governor, the most powerful governor in the nation based on the 1947 Constitution. That means he or she has line item veto power. You have a Senate president who's going on almost a decade of being the Senate president. Together, they can move legalizing marijuana. They can have changes in the fiscal policies in the state. They can agree on more funding for all the people waiting at New Jersey Transit for buses and trains.
About the pension fund.
They could do something was done about the pension fund between Sweeney and Murphy. Sweeney argues it's not enough. They need to give back more to the unions. The unions are fighting him on that. And Murphy is saying the unions have given enough. Part of it is because he believes that, and part of it is because the public employee unions are so supportive of Phil Murphy and really despise Steve Sweeney. It is a détente, is that the word?
Yeah.
That's not the word I'm thinking of right now.
All right, Steve, we'll have to end it there. We'll see how things develop.
We will. Thanks, Brad.